I'm John Sargent, and welcome to Argumental, the show where the hottest names in comedy debate the biggest issues facing mankind. Will we ever find a cure for Alzheimer's? Is Gordon Brown saving the world? And will we ever find a cure for Alzheimer's? Here to argue such burning issues and others like them are our teams. With Marcus Brigstock in the red corner, please welcome Lucy Porter. And joining Rufus Hound on the blue team tonight, it's Frankie Boyle. OK, let's kick off with round one, where we discuss a serious issue that's getting us all hot under our Eton collars. Class, from country estate to sink estate, from private income to income support. In Britain, they say you're either born with a silver spoon in your mouth or a dirty shovel in your hand. With toffs or oiks, blue bloods or blue collars. And whether you dine with a queen or work in a fish shop, it's important to know your place. But the issue I want the teams to argue over is this. The class system is what makes Britain great. Up first and supporting the statement, it's Marcus Brigstock.
Thank you very much. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, the class system is what makes Britain great. Now, fairly soon, Rufus and Frankie will be arguing that I only like the class system because I am at the top of it. I'm not. In fact, I'm seventh. They will tell you all sorts of things about me having a golden house and golden eyes and riding around on a golden pony and having golden feet and a wife made of platinum and diamonds. And all of these things are true, but I don't want that to prejudice you against me and the rest of the aristocracy. Without the aristocracy, this country would be overrun with grouse. But they're part of what makes Britain great, what makes Britain interesting. You see, the working classes like dog racing, the middle classes like horse racing, and the upper classes are horse-faced and doggedly racist. It's a good system. It's a clear system. You see, without a class system, we're left with a meritocracy, right? And a meritocracy is only defined by who is the most ruthless capitalist bastard, right? Without class, this would be a small, shitty, rainy country. It'd be pointless. It would be so dull. Britain would be like Canada. Canada is shockingly dull. The most exciting thing that happens in a Canadian's day is waking up. Oh, geez, another day in Canada, eh? Let's drink some syrup and listen to Celine Dion. We don't want that. We want a vibrant system where the aristocracy hate the middle classes and the middle classes are jealous of the aristocracy and the working classes are angry with the middle classes. We want a bit of tension, a bit of friction that exists. Otherwise, everything's just James Blunt. I'm going to make a straightforward appeal to you, to each of the class groups that will be watching this show. The working classes, come on now. You know you want to vote for the red team, don't you? Because it'll be a right old laugh, eh? You don't want to be a toff, do you? Get rid of classes, you'll be a toff. There's no point. The aristocracy, now listen to me, vote for the red team. We went to school together. You know it's the right thing to do. And the middle classes, you've got to vote for the red team. We already have a class system. If we remove it, that would represent change. And you know what you think about change? Vote for the red team. Thank you.
OK, next up, opposing Marcus and the great British class system, it's Frankie Boyle.
You can tell what class you are by this simple test, right? There's a fox in your back garden. If you're upper class, you get on a horse and hunt it with hounds. If you're middle class, you get your children to draw a picture of it, send it into Blue Peter. And if you're working class, you beat it to death with a shovel and use it to make soup. There's a real problem at the heart of this, which is like, health is very different, mortality is completely different in Britain depending on your class. I don't know if you saw the report a couple of months ago, but to sum it up, basically, if you're working class in Britain and you live to 100, the Queen doesn't send you a telegram. She comes round to your house and does a handstand with a sparkler up her arse. The whole point about class making Britain great is that Britain isn't great. If I was a world traveller, the only reason I'd visit Britain is for the reason that most of us visit a McDonald's, to take a big shit and then fuck off again. As a Scotsman, I like to occasionally pronounce my vowels. Is that OK with everybody? Marcus, to me, sounds like a Korean gentleman begging for help during an aneurysm. I think it's important that we distinguish between Marcus Brigstock as a human being and as a representative of his class. As an example of the upper classes, I despise him, but as a human being, I loathe him. They're ruining our gene pool with their cousin love and their twisted lips, their haemophilia, their soft brain congenital eye problems and spine-crumbling insect blood, weak-faced lobster hand, brittle bone incest paralysis. Nature hates them, I hate them. Join me tonight in hating them.
Thank you, Frankie. Lucy and Rufus, do you want to join in?
Well, I feel I need to stand up for Marcus a little bit there. That was quite mean.
Oh, Lucy, has anybody explained to you what's going on here?
But you see, you obviously find the upper classes amusing, and I think that is the thing. They're funny. I think that the aristocracy, they've all got names like sort of Tinky and Buggery and Squitters.
That was quite mean, Lucy, by your middle-class standards.
Wow.
By my working-class standards, that counts as foreplay.
I think the very fact that I wasn't glassed is a result.
Sign of my affection.
That's the thing. I mean, it was that was a very worthwhile and pretty accurate attack on the upper classes. But that is what makes Britain great. That bile, that you use so eloquently to show the wit that you have, and it drew out of you the laconic Glaswegian humour that you do so beautifully.
Don't patronise me, you cock.
Look at that. He knows what patronise means. I mean, this is wonderful. But that's exactly it. This is what makes Britain interesting. It makes us great.
No, it's not what makes us great. And just on a factual point, you said without a class system, we then have a meritocracy, and that if we got rid of the class system, it would just be whoever was most ruthless would rise to the top. Well,
That's
that is
what a
what happened.
meritocracy is.
Yeah, but that's what happened already, except it happened like 1,500 years ago. The only reason you're landed gentry is because years and years and years your great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather killed all of the grandfathers of all of the people in this room. And I urge all of the people in this room to remember that when voting.
I'm not landed gentry, though.
No, but
No,
not by...
I'm not aristocracy. I'm rich.
Yeah,
Aristocracy are skint. They have nothing.
OK, fair enough. So...
I'm middle class, like you.
No. See, I'll tell you why you're not like me, Marcus.
Well, because I haven't been stupid enough to grow facial hair and have my body tattooed, but I mean...
OK. Well, lay on the insults, but if we may, how many rings do I wear?
I think probably just your wedding ring.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
How many rings do you wear?
2.
Right, and when they are?
My wedding ring and my family crest.
And his family crest.
It's a raven holding an oyster. It's actually a rather ugly bird holding what looks like a turd.
Why are you carrying your family seal about in your hand? Is it because when you bugger a member of the working classes, you occasionally need to stamp your family crest into their buttocks, heating your ring up with a lighter?
The point you miss, though, is that everybody has a crest. Every British person has a crest. You have one. Your surname is Hound. The likelihood is it'll be a pair of dog's bollocks.
Because I am.
OK, thanks very much. So, does the class system make Britain great? You've heard both sides. Now it's time for our studio audience to decide. Hold up your red cards if you agree with Marcus and Lucy, and the blue ones for Rufus and Frankie. Vote now.
I didn't have enough cousins to fill the entire audience, sadly.
OK, it's just a victory for the blue team. Well done, Rufus and Frankie. Right, next up is Slideshow, where I want the teams to illustrate their argument using a series of pictures which they've never seen before. Battling it out this time are our team captains, Marcus and Rufus. Marcus, I'd like you to start us off by arguing that heaven is better than hell. Here's your first picture, and away you go.
Heaven is better than hell, ladies and gentlemen. Of course it is. We know that. We're British. We'd hate hell. We'd get there and go, oh. Oh, God, isn't it hot? Oh, this is hot. Like him. What a hottie. Just the kind of hot stuff that's available to all of us in heaven, because in heaven, you don't need to worry about sexuality anymore. All bets are off, and so would his kit be. And hands up who'd be keen to have a go on that. Well, me. Heaven, heavenly chocolates. Goodness me, what a delicious tray of chocolates. Those are available in heaven. You can have sex with that beautiful man and melt chocolates into him. Now, I'd be lying if I said that hell was better than heaven. But let me tell you, folks, it's a sense of pride that I stand here with as my main argument. Bang! Is clearly that heaven is so much better than hell. All the good, cool creatures will go to heaven, and the rubbish ones, like slugs and shitty mice, will go to hell. But, as this next picture will prove once and for all, heaven is better than hell. Have a look at this. Right. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we can be in no doubt that I have blown more than the doors off this argument tonight. Yeah, you sort of like the lion stuff, but this has gone a bit shit. But at the end of the day, what's it all about, Alfie? Zulu. I'll tell you what, in heaven, you find out what happens at the end of the Italian job. In hell, they've got no idea. That is why heaven is better than hell. Please vote for the red team and a vote for heaven!
Thanks, Marcus. Next up, arguing that hell is better than heaven, it's Rufus Hound. Here's your first picture, and off you go.
Of course hell is better than heaven. We all know that. Heaven's full of Christians. Who wants to spend eternity with Christians? You want to spend eternity with people who genuinely heard that there was an entire book, the plot of which is be lovely to each other, but instead decided to dwell on the bit that says hate homosexuals? One homosexual clapping that. But I'm with you, brother. Brigstock's assumption that in heaven, oh, it doesn't matter, you can do that delicious-looking boy, that's never going to happen. You look at that delicious-looking boy and there'll just be a group of people going, no. I can give you two good reasons, ladies and gentlemen, why hell is superior to heaven. The first is that imagine meeting God. That is all that conversation's going to be. What happens at the end of the Italian job? I get it! Just tell me things! Whereas you'd wander around hell for a bit, eventually you're bound to come across Satan hunched over a bar stool with a couple of shots of Jack Daniels. There's a good chance he'd actually pour you one, have a chat. Fair enough. After you're absolutely shit-faced, he's going to stick a burning hot poker up your arsehole. But at least he'd tell you the end to the Italian job. Whereas with God, that's no dice. So let's look at the next picture I haven't seen, which is clearly going to be the number 4. 666. It's the number of the beast, ladies and gentlemen. Look, there is a text you can do on the internet that says, how closely do you adhere to the 10 Commandments? It is impossible to answer that quiz in any way where you come out with even one. Ergo, we are all going to hell. Hell, ladies and gentlemen, allows you to be you rather than merely a cyborg rule follower, which is why it's better than heaven. Thank you.
Thanks, Rufus. It's time to decide who made the best case. It's blue cards for Rufus and red ones for Marcus. Vote now. That's a victory for the Reds. Well done, Marcus. He's convinced the audience that heaven is better than hell. I quite agree. When it comes to gay nightclubs, there really is no comparison. Join us after the break when we'll be arguing that musical theatre is rubbish. Don't go away. Welcome back to Argumental, the show where the guests frequently find themselves in sticky and uncomfortable situations, a bit like Jackie Smith's husband. Next up is our popular culture round, and this week the subject for debate is this: musical theatre, the all-singing, all-dancing family magnet filling the theatres and lining the pockets of impresarios like Andrew Lloyd Webber and Andrew Lloyd Webber. From Lion Kings to Dancing Queens, disfigured phantoms to evil Nazis, those high-kicking, high-camp, high-priced West End tourist traps have us flocking like flies round Chicago. But the statement I'd like you to argue is this: musical theatre is rubbish. First up, supporting the statement, is Lucy Porter.
Of course, musical theatre is rubbish, because I love music and I love theatre, but I hate musical theatre in much the same way that I love sex and I love dogs, but the combination of the two is very wrong. That's obviously an afternoon I regret to this day. I mean, thank you, Andrew Lloyd Webber. He is quite literally the unacceptable face of musical theatre, isn't he? You just kind of wonder, what does he see when he looks in the back of a spoon? It's awful. If you've seen Cats, it's completely unrealistic. At no point did anyone cough up a fur ball, lick their own balls, or take a dump in the litter tray, and it would have been much more entertaining if they had, wouldn't it? You know, but see, my rule is that if I'm in the audience having less fun than the people up on stage, then something is going badly wrong. And if I'm in the audience having less fun than a Romanian pit pony which is being whipped to death on its 10th birthday, then I'm watching Mamma Mia. Right, because, you know, they inflicted the film of Mamma Mia on us. Jesus, you know, making Pierce Brosnan sing is like forcing John Sargent to dance the Paso Doble, isn't it? It's just cruelty. You know? Oh, it was brilliant. Well, you know we love you. But I also think musical theatre, it kind of sends out the message that any sort of atrocity is all right as long as you've got a hummable tune. Doesn't it? Do you know what I mean? Like, no, I think this is a line from Joseph, a genuine line from Joseph, when he's reunited with his brothers years after they attempt to kill him. And he says, "I shall now take them all for a ride. After all, they have tried fratricide." That's absolutely... It's shameless. They can dress up any subject with a song and a dance and put it on the stage. I mean, anything from poems about cats to the Nazis. You just think, what next, right? Maybe it's going to be another Joseph. Yep, Fritzl, the musical. That was coming. I'm a very deranged fella and I'll lock you in my cellar. Sorry. It came out a bit more sick than I thought that would. I can only apologise. When you think about it, who is musical theatre aimed at? It's aimed at happy, gullible people, isn't it? Gullible, naive, cheery people who walk through life with a smile on their face and a song in their heart. People like Frankie Boyle. OK, now, Frankie Boyle, he may look like a cynical bastard, but he's living a lie. When the cameras are off, Frankie's a joy, he's flamboyant, he's ebullient, he's effervescent. He never stops singing, ladies and gentlemen. It's hideous, and that's why you should vote for the red team. Thank you.
Thanks, Lucy. Next up, opposing the statement, it's Frankie Boyle.
I do actually go to a lot of musicals. Who can forget Jesus Christ Superstar coming round the corner on a Yamaha? Unfortunately, he did a skid, killed a kid, and yes, I'm afraid to say, caught his balls on a dustbin lid. A lot of people will say to themselves, how many more musicals do we have to put up with before Andrew Lloyd Webber can finally afford plastic surgery? But just because a man looks like his face was carved off his skull by a diseased butcher, put in a piñata, beaten for 6 hours with a hockey stick, and the resulting slop piped back onto his head like icing on the ugliest cake the world has ever seen. I've forgotten my point. Musicals have cheerful titles. Who doesn't love that? Les Mis. That's great, isn't it? Les Miserables, bit downbeat. Personally, I always refer to The Grapes of Wrath as Grapey Wrathy and Crime and Punishment as Rusky Murder Fun Time. Let's not forget that if it wasn't for Elaine Page, there would never have been a toilet break during the Two Ronnies. You need songs. You need songs in the theatre because that's when you can eat your sweets. Can you imagine sitting through a Harold Pinter play trying to get through a bag of Maltesers? Waiting through all those awkward pauses and dialogue so you can finally have a good crunch. You're never able to relax, are you? Musicals are good for the economy. let's not forget that. Airlines and hairdressing salons can't physically employ all of Britain's homosexuals. Bunch musicals can save you a fortune on colonic irrigation. I sat through both halves of Mamma Mia, and afterwards I was shitting my insides out like a gibbon with the Ebola virus. Vote blue.
Rufus and Marcus, do you want to help your teammates?
Yeah, I went to see Mamma Mia and I walked out, which, given that I watched it on a plane, is pretty incredible. Musical theatre and its film-based spin-offs are rubbish.
Trying to tie it back in. Yeah, a lot of the films are rubbish, but you're actually in the theatre, the smell of the grease paint, the roar of the crowd. It's a powerful experience.
Yes, powerfully shit. Musical theatre's rubbish.
Musical theatre's great.
All of Frankie's arguments were how shit it is.
No.
Yeah, they were.
It's
I
shit
went
in
to
a
see
good
this,
way.
it made me shit myself.
No, powerful.
Come on, how irritating. Can you imagine how irritating this show would be if halfway through the argument we suddenly burst into song? How fucking annoying would that be, people?
Dad,
Not annoying at all. Oh, Marcus, you've made the wrong point. The moment you started singing, people were smiling. This woman behind you actually did this. Oh, Marcus, you know as well as I do, musical theatre is excellent. Bring it.
Rufus, my friend, can you imagine if this shit went on for hours? If the entire series were performed like this?
All that goes to show is that you're not very good at writing the tunes. Instead, vote blues. It's what you should choose.
OK,
Nothing that you've said, nothing that you've said will stop them from voting red, voting red.
Do you know what? Gays across Britain are switching this off. Admittedly, Dave's gay viewership is 8 people, but we've lost them.
Yeah, but the gay viewership of Dave don't call it Dave, they call it Dave.
We've now lost some straight viewers.
OK, that's it. So, is musical theatre rubbish? It's time for our studio audience to decide. Red for Lucy and Marcus and blue for Frankie and Rufus. Vote now. That's a win for the red team. Well done, Lucy and Marcus. They convinced the audience that musical theatre is rubbish. I disagree. I prefer to call it recycled crap. There are claims that West End theatre is dumbing down by employing too many TV stars instead of proper actors, though anyone who saw the Chuckle Brothers' Uncle Vanya would surely disagree. Not all West End musicals are successful. There was Maxwell the musical, Oscar Wilde the musical, and, of course, Cliff Richard had a part in Heathcliff, though our lawyers have asked me to stress that's still just a rumour. Time now for the final round and a last chance for our teams to prove just how argumental they really are. I'm going to show them a series of images. All they have to do is suggest an argument to go with them. OK, here's your first one.
Is that an argument against ever letting that dog lick your face again?
Certainly an argument against letting dogs in the royal enclosure.
Is it that dog can smell the royal wee?
Is it an argument against saying that you're going to hide in the only place that no one will find you?
Do you think that's where Osama bin Laden is?
You know, I think this is evidence that there is a dog Narnia. Behind there's a doggy Christian allegory.
and 5 disgusted children. Send us back to the war!
Next picture.
That's the argument for the sugar baby to finally got the job they deserve.
Is this an argument against letting Russell Brand take over as the host of Supermarket Sweep?
Is it an argument for saving up your nectar points to buy 3 whores?
Just because they're wearing bikinis, it doesn't make them whores.
They are to Dave's viewers because they've paused this and they're wanking listening. You know what? At some point you're going to have to unpause it, and when you come back, we'll know what you've done.
Let's do ashamed faces.
Next picture.
Is it an argument against holidaying in Scotland?
Certainly the worst wet T-shirt contest I've ever seen, isn't it?
It's definitely an argument for not letting Rick Waller show you his famous tuck and pike.
Is it an argument against angering Neptune? And then going out and attempting to negotiate with Neptune with a small umbrella?
Oi, Neptune! Your sea's rubbish!
Take the golf umbrella if you're going to negotiate with Neptune.
Is that what a sperm whale does?
And we have our final picture.
Is it an argument against having a dead heat in the International Cock of the Year Award?
Is it an argument for the double-barrelled shotgun? Or against the phrase, you can't make it up, because, as these two both know, you can.
That is an argument for making it very clear on the invitation, if you're having a fancy dress party, you can't both come as a twat.
OK, that's it, the deciding round for the final time. It's down to our studio audience to decide who made the best case. Red for Marcus and Lucy, and blue for Rufus and Frankie. Vote now.
Yeah.
So I can tell you that the blue team have won the round, which means this week's winners are the blue team. Well done, Rufus Hound and Frankie Boyle. Commiserations to Marcus Bigstock and Lucy Porter. That's all we've got time for. Good night.